All right, baby. We are back. We were going to be streaming today, but we're not streaming, correct, Tone? No, we're not streaming. All right. Well, we're going to be getting these going on live stream going forward so we can interact more with you guys. I'm going to be doing this on YouTube. Are we going to get all the platforms, Anthony? Yeah. All right. So we're going to get on all the platforms. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. We've had some interesting stuff happen. Big stuff. Hopefully, fingers crossed, stuff that sticks. With the Iran conflict, we've got Kevin Warsh's first FOMC meeting tomorrow. Today, depending on when you're listening to this as it launches.
If you can listen to this on a Tuesday, I need you to call me.
On a Tuesday, yeah, right. We've got some updates on inflation numbers, unpacking SpaceX, and everything that went down with SpaceX this last week, which was just wild. Elon's the GOAT. We've got some updates on the crypto market. Real estate is a big old nothing burger. I wish I had something exciting to talk about with real estate. I don't see that changing anytime soon, but we got some stuff to unpack today. Let's just start it off with good old America. Did you watch the UFC card?
I wanted to so bad,
bro,
that my wife wanted to watch a documentary, and I tried to fight it. I tried to fight it. I was like, let me get some UFC fights in America on the one and probably only time we'll ever be on the White. I couldn't. I did.
Yeah, Dana White was like, they're like, are you going to do more? He's like, no. One, it was insane because they had weather forecasts that were potentially, lightning strikes going to shut it down. They had mosquito issues. And according to everybody that was there, the night went perfect. The weather was great. No mosquitoes. The fighters loved it. I mean, the walkouts were so badass. All the fighters coming out of the Oval Office and then coming out on the balcony overlooking the lawn and the whole thing. It was cool. And then I just thought the overall production of it, with how the UFC really just they showcased and hit on so many awesome messages about America that represented everybody. They just did a really good job. It was all, patriotism. It was about being a warrior and a fighter and what's made this country so great. And it was I don't know what you thought it was great, right? And Anthony and I were talking about it before. And then this was, correct me if I'm wrong, the first card that every single fight ended in a TKO. Yeah, it was the first card that every single fight, it was either a TKO or knockout. I mean, the fights were they were great. So that was fun. We got World Cup in full swing. I'm watching that. We had the NBA Finals.
We have European people discovering how great America is again during the World Cup.
Let's go.
Come on.
Yeah, America had their, last Friday, had their win in surprising fashion. So I was excited to see that. And then over the weekend, and this was on Trump's 80th birthday, which was the UFC White House card. Celebrating the 250th birthday of America. Same day, ironically, or maybe strategically, he announced that the Iran conflict, the agreement to end the war, was official. And I mean, we've heard this, I think there was I saw somebody, ChatGPT, it was 38 times he had said that. This time it was actually affirmed by the Iranian side. And there's an MOU in place. Details.
Sweden.
They're going to be meeting, I think, this Friday to sign it.
Sweden.
And we'll unpack that a little bit here. But basically, Iran says that they agreed to the terms of the United States. The United States has agreed to their terms. We can unpack it a little bit, but overall, I think most importantly, the markets love this. They did. Crypto bounced a little bit on this.
Mm-hmm.
What was your take on this agreement? I think there's still stuff that needs to be solidified. There's still 60 days of negotiating around key points and topics. So, it's still, I wouldn't say on the strongest footing. But the fact that we got two sides
talking like
this is the beginning of the end, I thought was positive. And, this is obviously going into the FOMC meeting tomorrow, which we saw oil drop down below $80 a barrel.
76 last I checked.
76. So obviously that's great. That'll be interesting to see how the Fed digests that. And I'm sure they're going to be cautious based on whether it could fall apart again. But, energy is obviously a big component of what's been driving CPI, right?
Yeah, all the inflation numbers are going to flip back on their head. So
what was your take on it? Let's unpack kind of the agreement here.
I mean, it was good. I don't know, why it took so long to get to the agreement that I figured it was going to be something like that. I mean, Iran has to act right. Then we unfreeze assets if they meet certain actionable items.
Yeah, it was a 14-point MOU.
Yeah, we have to. We're gonna.
Well, here, can you pull it up on the screen?
Yeah, there you go.
So let's see. Well, we'll just read them off really fast. Permanent and immediate cessation of war on all fronts. Great. That's including Lebanon. That's a whole nother kind of potential issue between Israel and Lebanon. And the U.S. commitment to non-interference in Iran's internal affairs and respect for sovereignty, completely lifting the naval blockade within 30 days, U.S. commitment to withdraw its forces from and around Iran, reopening the Strait of Hormuz within 30 days of the arrangements, suspension of sanctions on the sale of oil. We've got the necessity of all U.S. and its allies to present reconstruction plans for Iran amounting to at least $300 billion. That's one talking point that I think some people are having some issues with, wondering why are we going to be footing that bill. 60 days of negotiations to reach final agreement based on the nuclear issues. That's where I think this is a soft point that could lead to this potentially falling apart if they can't come to agreement on that. Reiteration of Iran's commitments under the NPT treaty not to produce nuclear weapons. During the negotiation period, the U.S. has committed not to add forces in the region and not to impose new sanctions. Release of $24 billion in blocked funds. Formation of supervisory mechanism to implement the agreement. The final agreement will be approved by a UN Security Council resolution. Final negotiations will not begin before the release of half of Iran's blocked funds, which I think J.D. Vance already kind of confirmed that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And mind you, 2 points that I have been hearing coming out of the administration is the, part of the hundreds of billions that we're going to give them, that's not coming from taxpayer-funded dollars. That's coming from relief on sanctions. So basically, the sale of oil is just going to be more profitable for.
Yeah, we're not giving them any money. We're
letting them make
it.
Yeah, so we're letting them make it.
It's market access.
But the big question still around the $300 billion in reconstruction plans, that does sound like it is taxpayer-funded dollars. So that's,
but it'll be obviously always majority funded by U.S. Taxpayers. But I also think that it's a way for us to get investment in a region where we haven't been able to get it there and then get influence.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be, again, I'm not even going to act like I understand all these talking points, right?
I think that it's a way to get U.S. influence into Iran somewhat more permanently via money at a time when they're vulnerable to do it, So that would be my take on that. But $300 billion is nothing.
Yeah, so critics of Obama giving $850 billion to, versus Trump's $300 billion, I think there's.
Well, plus we've bombed the shit out of them, and we've killed about 3 or 4 layers of their leadership in the midst.
Plus infrastructure, plus military. Yeah. There's a lot
different. Only people that are comparing.
I hope that it sticks this time. My only concern is that this is another. We got it done, and it falls apart because of the main issue around nuclear. Capabilities in Iran, but from at least the last few days, we actually have leadership on their side publicly affirming that this agreement is something that they're on board with. We haven't seen anything too crazy come out this week. That's,
just Israel
ain't happy.
Yeah, Israel strikes.
Bibi ain't happy.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But overall, what are your thoughts on it? What do you think that does for, the markets going forward? How does that impact the Fed? How does that impact rates?
I'm going to be very much watching the Fed chair talk because he's going to be indicating to me what I should be expecting. But I think we should see a big shakeup in the Fed futures after he speaks.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce if you are an investor looking to generate consistent passive income, then I've got something for you. I just launched the Imagos Income Fund. It is a private investment debt fund. So instead of relying on long-term appreciation or big exit events like most real estate syndications do, we decided to keep it simple, focused on first position asset-backed lending just like a bank, meaning your investment is backed by real collateral and structured to produce income from day one. The target return, 10% paid out annually and also paid out monthly. So no guesswork, real passive returns, true mailbox money. And because we're in the debt position, not equity, we're able to prioritize downside protection, maintain shorter durations, and stay in control of the risk, which is most important in environments like this. This is built for investors who want steady cash flow, strong capital preservation, and real asset exposure without the headaches of owning, managing, and waiting years for a payoff. So if this resonates with you, if you want to learn more, I put together a full investor presentation breaking everything down. All you got to do is just text the word income to 844-447-1555. That's income to 844-447-1555. I'll send you everything so you can see if it's a fit for your portfolio. What's your guess? Fingers crossed.
He's coming
in a little dovish or
come out white-winged. I feel like with the halo on his head,
I feel like, getting hypey over there.
Just flying out.
Call him the last time.
I forget the White Hawk.
I mean, I think
the White Hawk.
Coming into his first Fed chair meeting, I feel like he's probably going to want to take somewhat of a neutral stance, right? Because
I think he needs to take rates rising. Like that he needs to make that clear that can't happen.
Yeah. Well,
that would be bad for you. It would be more bad, and then for me, it would just be bad.
I mean, to your point, I'm still very much hoping for a cut this year. I don't think it's going to be in July, but I am hoping for a cut this year. I would love to see it be in July.
Me too.
But in general, I think he's going to come in and he's going to be somewhat neutral. I think he's probably going to honor the baton passing of Powell, which his narrative was, we're still monitoring the private job sector, which is concerning in some capacity and job creation. We're still monitoring how this Iran conflict and what we're seeing with oil and energy prices, which data prints recently have shown a little uptick. Our mandate is this, we're here. But I also think he's going to come in with his own flavor and give hopefully some little hints of forward-looking guidance around potentially if these things happen, which a lot of people I think can make their speculation of where the dominoes are lining up, and if all goes according to plan, those things happening, that's going to lead to hopefully maybe one rate cut, maybe some easing of the monetary policy that the Fed is looking at. That's my thought. Is I think he's going to come in probably pretty neutral and honor Powell, but also maybe give a little bit of his own flavor on what he's looking at and where he thinks the Fed's going to go in the coming.
Yeah, again. His background tells me that that's what he should do, but something happened, and that's why he got picked. And so, because I just don't, Trump picked him for a reason. So I'm confident that he's going to be our rate cut hero. I shouldn't say confident. I'm hoping that he'll be our rate cut hero.
You and I both.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's some of the things so we've got May PPI inflation jumped to 6.5%, which was above expectations of the 6.4. Nothing too crazy.
It'll drop sub to the next report, I bet you.
You think so?
Yeah.
And that was the highest level since November of 22. Core PPI.
And of course CPI dropped. It was 3.4.
So we got what? Core PPI came in at 4.9 in line with April's revised levels.
Yeah, but CPI was below expectations and on core, and then people are freaking out again about headline, but headline doesn't matter.
And then we saw, this was something that U.S. consumer spending was slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, it's June. People are traveling.
Yep. So, I mean, that's something that, again, there's so many, I mean, they're taking in so many points of data that we can't digest or begin to understand on the retail side.
It's just, you got to use common sense. It's like, what do people spend money on in June typically? Well, kids are getting out of school, vacation, summer activities and sports, summer camps. People are freaking out. Retail spending is down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, they don't have anything to buy right now. The kids are out of school. They're chilling at home.
Well, yeah, it's not the
what are your kids spending money on? You're going to the grocery store.
I'm like, grocery store, baby, for some time.
Grocery store,
nothing too crazy. And then to your point, right? May CPI rose to 4.2%, which was the highest level since April of 2023. Again, core CPI rises to 2.9, which was the highest since September of 2025. But these are nothing. Well, and a lot of this is all, again, tied to oil.
Yeah.
And oil
was at 76.62. It was done another 5% today.
And they were what? They were calling oil at the beginning of this conflict, it's going to be at 200, 250 a barrel.
Yeah, and nobody was saying shit when it was 125, 130 under Biden. I mean, it was that much a barrel. And nobody was saying anything. Nobody was bitching about gas prices. I'm at fucking Target the other day and some Karen's walking around throwing up, I did this. Like Donald Trump stickers to gas prices. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, the
question is, did you say anything to her?
Oh yeah, of course I
was
did.
Like, knowing you would have said something.
Of course I did. I walked by and I said, did you put those up under Biden? She said, these are Trump stickers. And that's all. I was like, there you go. IQ test failed.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, the gas prices are no higher than they have been in the last 3 years. They did rise abruptly, but I mean, we're back. I mean, we're almost below $5 a gallon in California on our regular unleaded. $5.19 is the state average right now. And on premium, it is $5.69. So that's lower than it has been. And the thing that's crazy, I mean, dude, I remember it being almost $7 a gallon at one point in California for premium.
Yep.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. And you want to know who's saying one thing about gas? Not a Democrat. I can fucking tell you that. So I just be fair with it. It's not a big deal. Gas prices got back to where they had been because we were in a conflict with an oil producing country. It's very short term and short lived, but that's what happens when politics gets involved. The thing that I think people are going to focus on now is everything's going to shift heavily back to AI. But we have a really big tech shift today. Value was the player today in the market on Tuesday. So it's a very interesting time to be investing. There's lots of good opportunities still. I think the bull market play is still intact, but I definitely can see volatility towards the end of the year still.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the narrative around AI sucking up all the liquidity, it leading to a blow off top, and then there being some not major, but being a healthy correction, being that we've been continuing to have, weekly all-time highs beating each other on the S&P, and just overall a very strong stock market. I would assume that there's got to be some level of pullback. You mentioned in last week's episode, which a couple people texted in asking, like, what kind of correction does Ryan think? How big?
Messages me. Don't message me.
Well, you don't have access to the number.
Well, of course I know. I'm saying on my Instagram or anything.
Yeah.
Message Matt,
but just
I send him feet pics too. Cheaters.
Hell no.
I just mean that there, a correction is that. It's a correction. It's a retracing back to, hey, things are a little overheated. The pot's boiling over. We got to, get some things back to fair prices, get entry levels back.
Let me pull up. Tone, you can see this on the screen? All right. So you got...
That's the equal weight. You don't want that one.
Which one do we want?
SPY.
SPY?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Where can I find that?
Just type it in on the search.
All right. So
no, right there in the search right there.
SPY.
Yeah. Shebang.
That it?
Yep.
Okay. So
let's see. Yeah, that's it.
So what are your thoughts on kind of when
you see that big old gap right there?
Yep.
That puppy probably needs to be filled. Gaps fill themselves typically when they're that big. So we probably have like I said, I think tomorrow we're going to see some volatility.
And obviously that's going to be, which we've seen volatility after most of the recent FOMC meetings, just because there hasn't been a ton of dovish sentiment. So if we're expecting there to be some neutrality and or some hawkishness, then your expectation is we're going to probably, like you said, fill this gap, maybe have a little bit of a pullback. What are your thoughts on overall like key levels for, and this is what, 1 hour? Can we do something like
15 minutes?
You want to do 15?
Yeah. That's what I normally look at.
Okay.
Welcome to my life, baby.
So zooming in a little bit, what are your overall thoughts on kind of support? And
there's a big, I think Tone can see the same thing as he, that big old gap right there. That's a big gap. Yeah, it's a gap up, but those are almost worse than gap downs. I mean, the gap up, there's a big space to potentially be filled there. We need quite a bit of volume tomorrow morning to keep that afloat, in my opinion. With that being said, my anticipation is we're probably going to see a big pop in the morning and then a tail off into the end of the day. And then whatever he says during his meeting is going to influence how we chart. I mean, look at that chart.
I was going to say, I mean, this is the daily. So, I mean, we've been just climbing outside of, little pullback here in April. I mean, this thing has been a little pullback here and last couple of weeks of June. But overall, I mean, what a run for the market the last couple of months. So based on going back to that question around AI, I mean, we can talk about SpaceX. We can talk about some of the other AI, IPOs that are coming. Do you expect there to continue to be kind of a liquidity magnet towards these big companies? And we'll talk on SpaceX here in a second because I want to get your take, because since its IPO last week, this baby is rocking and rolling. But what are your thoughts on kind of that, going back to your AI narrative?
As far as it being a catalyst still?
Yeah,
it's probably going to come back into focus as the place where people are kind of like, okay, well, where's the next story? Where's the next place I can kind of catch some upside? I've heard whispers of Samsara. You have SpaceX doing good. We'll talk about that here in a second. You got Intel, you have IBM, you got TSM, our chip producers, ASML. So you got a bunch of good potential on the horizon. I think what's going to focus people back up is what is AI and how can we use it and where is it going to be most leveraged next? And that's really what people are trying to figure out now is AI, yes, but why AI and where? And what is it doing better than what we can currently do and how? And is it cheaper and is it more efficient? You saw the acquisition of Cursor today for $60 billion.
Yeah, that was crazy. I mean,
SpaceX, which they've been public for about a week and they're already purchasing new companies. So that's a big stake.
So SpaceX's valuation is
2.6.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they jumped. And maybe this is not accurate, but it looked like they jumped later in the day too.
It's not accurate.
No?
Nope.
Did they pull back a little bit?
Yeah, they're 2.67 right now.
Okay, so I mean, they surpassed Microsoft, and then it looks like maybe cooled off a little bit. They're top 5, though. I mean, to go from, nothing to where they're at right now. What are your thoughts on
Microsoft's 2.9 trillion? They're 2.6.
Okay, so they did pull back. So then, you mentioned the fact that they bought an AI company already for $60 billion.
$60 billion, all stock.
So check this. I mean, we were just talking about Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, as criminal and weird and corrupt as he was or is. They made some interesting bets with their capital. Some of them that actually were big winners. This one in particular, in 2022, FTX bought 5% stake in Cursor for $200,000. In 2023, FTX bankruptcy sold that entire stake for the same $200,000. Today, SpaceX announced plans to buy Cursor for $60 billion. That would have, if they would have held, stake would have been worth $3 billion, a 15,000x return. That was pretty wild. But again, just another kind of nutty example of AI just being silly right now.
Yeah.
Is this an AI bubble that we're seeing form?
No bubble.
Just AI being AI at this stage of the world.
Yeah, we just don't have that kind of stuff anymore. That kind of stuff is old. We don't have bubbles like that anymore. There's too much data. It moves too fast. People got caught in bubbles because they didn't know. But that type of stuff doesn't happen anymore. I wish it did. It's a good story to sell, but it just doesn't happen anymore. There hasn't been a bubble since 2008. If there was going to be a bubble again, it would have already happened. It's been too long.
So
20 years.
Looking at SpaceX today, because I mean, it IPO'd at what, 150?
I believe that was it.
And we are sitting at 204 today.
Yep.
So I mean, it's continued to pump the last few days, which we expected there'd be a little bit of a pump. And then, what do you think? Do you think this is going to keep running because
it's going to run until 12 months, and then we're going to really test it. So, like 96% of the outstanding shares are locked up
for the first 12.
The outstanding float is like 4% of the outstanding shares are sold to retail.
So really, so retail is really driving this whole pump right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is this a leveraged pump?
I don't know. I know it's not what people think it is. I'm going to sound like an asshole, but so did I when I was talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So it's just, we're not looking at it like to buy it until
at least a year or two.
Probably next year sometime.
Yeah.
We have access to it via the ETFs and funds. I mean, we own BAI, which is a ticker for an ETF that I own for a lot of clients. 3% of that ETF is in SpaceX.
Yeah.
So I just don't need to own it.
Well, this little post right here affirms exactly what you said, right? Only 5% of SpaceX stock is floating right now. 95% is still locked up. Most don't realize bearish pressure often comes later when insiders finally get their liquidity. So
that's what's going to happen. It's going to, right when it unlocks in June of next year, like this week, June next year, it's probably going to have a pretty sharp pullback. Yeah, it'll have its first dip in June, and people will get, it's a bear trap. They'll get bear trapped into it because it'll bounce.
Get them excited.
Yeah, and they'll say, oh, look, it pulled back and it came all the way back now. And then the next 6 months will pass and it'll go down, and people will get sucked into it going down, trying to think this it'll happen again. And it'll just keep going down. And then you have to bag hold or take a loss.
Yep.
And it will go through the timing, kind of like Palantir did, where big dip, bottomed out, kind of got some money into it, and then took off.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's the thing about most investors right now. They're consuming a ton of content, but they're not actually more informed. They're reading all the headlines, they're watching the tickers, they're following all the noise that mainstream media wants you to follow. And at the end of the day, you're still not informed on what it actually means for your deals, for your portfolio, or for your next move. So if you're listening to this right now, I don't think that's you. I think that you actually want to understand what's happening, how it impacts your investments, what you should be doing going forward, what you shouldn't be, and not just reading about it. That's why I decided to build the Wealth Intelligence Brief, a newsletter sent to you 3 times a week directly to your inbox, where we cut through the noise. We send you the macro data, the real estate intel, crypto signals, and all the unfiltered takes in 5 minutes or less for free. Eliminate the noise, keep the edge. Sign up by texting the word WIB to 844-447-1555. That's WIB to 844-447-1555.
Okay, so AI, no bubble, still got some room to run.
Yep.
SpaceX obviously has been fun to watch. Did you see that? Like, the average American's net worth is now closer to Jeff Bezos than Jeff Bezos is to Elon Musk.
No, but that's pretty crazy.
That's insane, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk,
$1.4 trillion net worth.
You know what I think too is like, this is one of the reasons, like, if somebody made that amount of money and they really just cared about money, he'd never work a day in his life ever.
Oh, it definitely works.
This dude, and you ask any of the world's leaders, any of the world's business leaders, anyone that knows him, he is one of the hardest working, obsessed human beings, and he's doing it because he just truly cares about humanity. He just truly cares about solving problems. He just truly cares about his obsession around his goals and his vision. And so, you know, when I hear people bitching about,
he makes a lot of money,
he makes too much money, and he's a trillionaire, and he could solve this and that, and, you know, fix all these, you know, issues that poor people, you know, need fixed. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, for one. And two, when you look at his resume of what problems he is solving and the value he is bringing to humanity, and it's most of the people that are bitching about it are driving his Teslas and still talking shit. He is somebody that has moved the needle forward in humanity on planet Earth and now outside of planet Earth in more ways than most of humanity combined, right now at least. And so those are the people that I think deserve to, and again, this is all most of it, and he even said it on his X. Most of my net worth is locked up in my companies.
Well, and he's literally, like, fact, he's paid the most taxes of any individual human ever recorded ever.
Yep.
Over $11 billion. So I just don't get, like, where is he not paying? He's paid a lot of taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, they're liberal talking points. It's like typical liberal. That's why I just don't like liberals. Don't like far-right people either. I'll make sure to say that.
Yeah, be careful.
But I just don't like liberal people. They're the majority of what I deal with here in California, and they are some of the dumbest people you'll ever, unfortunately, cross. And they just believe that type of stuff. They're kind of like brainwashed into just regurgitating and not thinking for themselves. So they'll believe anything that fits their narrative, even if it's not true, because they don't look up anything or research or, yeah.
All right, so
they work at Starbucks.
Coach, do we get sound on this? Okay. All right, so I was curious on your thoughts on this. A lot of people were pissed off on this. So we heard Michael Saylor say he would never sell his Bitcoin, sell your liver, your kidney, or your wife, or whatever before you sell your Bitcoin, right? And this was the week after he sold Bitcoin, and we shared some weird, conspiracy theories around what he could do and this and that. But I thought this was an interesting response when he was on stage. Somebody asked him about selling Bitcoin, and I'm curious on your take based on what you don't like his shoes.
What is he wearing?
He looks like he's about to
like leggings under black pants.
He looks like he's about to go to
Lululemon cheek clapper 3000s.
Some Yeezy 840s. All right, let's listen to what he has to say.
I said that you never sold Bitcoin. I never said that the company wouldn't sell Bitcoin. And anybody that's been listening to our earnings calls or reading our disclosures or has half a brain knows for the last 5 years, we've been very clear that, of course, we sell Bitcoin if we have to.
So a lot of people were upset about that. Of like, this dude has been over here gaslighting everybody on selling.
I didn't say we would sell it. I said you sell. Don't ever sell yours. We'll sell ours if we ever need to. Not you.
Yeah,
you'll never need to. Yeah, no, that's why I just hate Bitcoin. That's where concentration of supply shows its and rears its ugly head, and you get that. Here, don't ever sell your Bitcoin so the price stability stays there, and then we'll just chip pieces off as we need to keep everything moving along because I said so and I'm Michael Saylor. Just doesn't make any logical sense to me why anybody would listen to that guy. He's just so dumb.
So I saw this as well. 25% of the Mag 8 now holds Bitcoin on their balance sheet. If it was so volatile, so risky, not a good investment, why do you think these companies would be holding any Bitcoin on their balance sheet and making these investments?
To speculate. Just like why, go look at the back end holdings of an ETF or a mutual fund. Those are some freaking weird ass companies you've never heard of.
Okay.
They're just speculating.
Yes.
That's what you do. That's how you get really big rates of return. They're just speculating. It's like, it's talked about, it's popular. Why did people have hoverboards for a long time? And now you don't see them anywhere.
That's true, huh?
So it's because it was just kind of a fad. So just the same thing happens in investing.
What are your thoughts on, I'm going to play a little clip here. You mentioned something a while back that made me want to save this clip, which was around potentially Michael Saylor. And I've seen a lot of other people make these similar claims of like, at some point he could get margin called. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm not even going to try and summarize what this guy
kind of deep
says, but let's give it a listen around. This guy says it's impossible for Michael Saylor to get margin called. Let's give it which could be absolutely catastrophic for Bitcoin in your opinion, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's give it a listen.
It's impossible.
You need to know that your people that are listening right now, your audience, if I could have you take away one thing from this, all you need to know is that it's impossible for Michael Saylor to get margin call. That's the only thing that you need to know. Because anytime you see somebody write, he's going to get margin called, he's going to get liquidated, his liquidation price is XYZ, they're basically saying, I'm a dumbass. They actually are. They're just saying something that's like, I'm a dumbass, right? And when he clears out the convertible debt, that's going to look extra stupid. That's going to look like next. So what happens if he owes 11% to all the people who bought Stretch? They can't margin call him if he doesn't pay it. Like, how does this work? No, because it's just a dividend. But he can pay it because he owes 800 something thousand Bitcoin. Right? So he has like a fiduciary obligation. You should get, somebody that's like from the TradFi world to not even talk about MSTR, just talk about publicly traded companies that have dividend obligations and how that works. No one ever says NVIDIA is going to get margin called over their dividend. Have you ever heard that? No one's ever said, they have the profits from the company to pay, correct? Yes. Yeah, cash flow. But that cash flow is sufficient to pay the dividends alone. MSTR is MSTR raises capital through the financial engineering that Taylor's doing that everybody gets so upset about. So like if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, or it's a Ponzi scheme. The thing that all these people never, ever, 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 ever bring up is that they own 800,000 plus Bitcoin outright. So unless you think that Bitcoin's going to go like $6,000 and stay there for like 5 years, then you have nothing to say about their situation.
All right. What do you got to say to this Pio Vincenzo guy?
I mean, it's obviously he's a maxi, but I would say that it's always technically possible to get a margin call, even if, it is. With that being said, you do have to have debt outstanding against that, but his points aren't incorrect. They just aren't correct either. He's saying that he's not going to get a margin call because he can't pay a dividend. Well, yeah, but then people are going to sell all their Bitcoin, which is going to drive the price down, which he relies on the price being a certain level. So he's going to get maybe like a reverse margin call where he can't do what he's trying to do to create stability in the coin. Yeah, he owns all those. And yeah, that's great. But the more that people sell it, the lower and lower and lower his price goes, and the less and less and less he can leverage. And he's issuing debt securities against these because they have such a high value, and he does own them outright. But when they start going below a certain amount, you either have to pay the debt securities back in whole, or you start getting a form of margin call. You start getting liquidated. Like they have collateral assignments against those, and they're going to start calling on those collateral assignments. Hey, we want our money, dude. I think we're done. We're good. So which
could create a further cascade.
Yeah, it's probably lower risk now than people are adding fuel to the fire. It's probably less than a 10% chance, but it's a chance. And the more, if he missed one dividend payment or had to do something with the strategy where he couldn't pay the dividend, almost 100% of the money would flow out of it. So that would crash that. That's profit gone. They owe money from that. It would just be a domino effect. And he's already bankrupted one company. So it's not like he hasn't done it before.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear people try to, make him out to be some martyr that he isn't. He's already BK'd a company under these same pretenses of he knew what the fuck he was talking about. And he obviously didn't. So I would just be wary. I'm not a fan. As I've said multiple times before, I think that he's just shilling a low supply asset that he knows has the potential to stay stable if enough dumb people hold it.
What are your thoughts on the big talking heads that keep saying Bitcoin's going to go to 250, Bitcoin's going to go to 700,000, Bitcoin's going to go to 1 million? Are those the people that are shilling to make retail exit liquidity?
I don't
do they
know.
really think and have viable data to support these claims?
I don't think they have viable data. I just think they really think it could go there, and they'd love to continue to pump it there because the more that they pump it, the more money they make.
Yeah. I mean,
pure momentum.
Saylor's either going to be the smartest and richest investor of all time because of Bitcoin if it goes to that, or
he won't, though.
Yeah. I mean,
he won't. He doesn't add anything to the bottom line of humanity at the end of the day. Like, what he's doing doesn't do anything for humanity.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. Like, nothing he does moves the ball forward for anybody. It just makes people rich or not rich. That's it.
There's Mr. Breedable's take on that. All right, well, let's wrap it up on this. Someone, and this is maybe the most exciting part of real estate right now. Let me get this out of the way before you pull this up on the screen, Tone, because real estate, we got housing starts, a nothing burger. Housing starts came in below expectations. Housing permits came in a little bit below expectations. But overall, I mean, the market is just stale. It's slow. Interest rates are still deterring people from wanting to buy. Home values have pulled back in certain markets. But just in general, I think, unless the affordability issue gets solved, unless we start seeing some real rate cuts, like we're just not going to see any revving of the real estate engine happen anytime soon.
Right.
I think this is just going to continue to be one of these seasons we look back on in a few decades, and it's going to be a stale, dead decade for real estate. And if you're in the real estate industry right now, it's tough. It's challenging as an investor, as a professional. It's just one of those times that you need to be of high value and find your niche and be great at that, because there are always going to be ways to make money as a real estate investor and always going to be ways to be of value and service in the real estate industry. But in times like this, you really see who those people are, and the others fade off into the distance. And we've been seeing that on the professional side, on the investor side. I mean, the last few years have been the most challenging years of my career to find deals that are really exciting and pencil and are worth taking the risk versus just sitting on the sidelines. It's one of those things that one of my early mentors always said, it's better to do no deal than a bad deal. And this is one of those seasons that it is extremely true in. But that being said, there are still opportunities out there. I still see people making good money. So it's just one of those times that you got to be that much more convicted, that much more conservative, and that much more valuable to what you're doing and how you're doing it. Zillow announced that starter homes now cost at least $1 million in a record 242 U.S. cities, triple the number in 2020. We know what was going on in 2020 and the craziness that ensued post-COVID. And the fact that it is triple that number of houses at least $1 million in a record 242 cities just tells you where we're at in the housing market. It's really challenging for people to afford homes right now. We haven't seen, wage growth jump up. We've got, what else did I see? Where is that at? It was, I think, 200 and, let's see here. Let me pull it up. We saw a record number of people that were taking a record number of Americans tap their 401ks for hardship withdrawals last year, right? Like there's just a lot of people that are struggling to get ahead. There's people that are making good money, but there's a lot of people, probably more people that are struggling to really get their financial footing and stability. And when you've got a housing market the way it is right now, you've got values the way it is right now, you've got job markets, you've got a lot of these interesting variables in this recipe for the average American. We're not going to see the housing market boom and be, something super sexy and exciting like we saw in 2020 when money was floating around everywhere, especially when rates were where they are and where they are now. So I just think we're going to continue to see this really stale housing market, this stale real estate market until we really see some easing of rates, until we see some of these economics, shift, which again, we could see that in 27 and 28. I'm hoping that we do see that based on at least where some of these initial indicators may be lining up. And as they come in play, that could lead to some of those things actually flushing their way through the system.
Yeah, it's goddamn time. Money's been expensive for a long time.
Yep.
So the stock market would like it. The real estate market would like it. It's it's time, and that's why I'm so much holding on that July date.
So let's talk about this real quick because this is, I think, a cool thing for the housing market. Someone bought a $4.2 million home using Bitcoin as collateral without selling any of that Bitcoin, and it was backed by Fannie Mae. This was something they were talking about earlier this year, and basically lenders underwriting with crypto in mind without necessarily having to create a taxable event and force liquidity on some investors. And we do know that, one, there are a lot of people that have healthy crypto portfolios. And not saying that's, the average American, but it does bring in some more demand. It brings in people into the market that maybe weren't allowed to be in the market without that, right? So yeah. I thought that was interesting.
David, $4.2 million. While betting the funds was the hardest part, the sale closed in just, get this, 23 days, faster than some traditional deals.
Yeah, so I thought that was, kind of cool, an interesting story. I think this is going to be, we'll see more and more of this going forward.
Yeah,
and
we certainly will.
Depending on where the crypto market goes, I mean, what are your thoughts on kind of just quick high level of the crypto market? Obviously, it's definitely decoupled from the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to see a rotation out of stocks at some point into crypto? Or a lot of people are saying, I just don't see that happening. But what do you say about that?
No, I think that we're just going to see like the tokenization of assets via crypto, blockchain, and that being more what happens. And that's kind of looking like, at least in the near term, where crypto is going to help us and the financial system is tokenization of assets.
All right. That's what we got for this week, guys. We will continue to keep you posted and track the data. Tomorrow's a big day. FOMC. We'll kind of hopefully have some insights as to what we can expect in the coming months. You're still of the mindset that we're going to see that
get that July.
Yeah. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to reach out. Text the word X-ray to 844-447-1555 if you want Ryan and his amazing team to dive into your investment portfolio, to craft you a portfolio. That's the free and easy way of connecting with him, X-ray. And for all my passive income investors, if you want to pair your capital and be the bank with us, the SEC regulated fund for doing private and hard money loans on collateralized assets to generate monthly income, text the word income to 844-447-1555. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. As always, keep investing in yourself and your wealth on your march to $1 million and beyond. We'll see you guys in next week's episode.
Cheers, y'all.